Hello and welcome to our program. Please join me in welcoming on our show today a first-generation entrepreneur and currently the president of the PhD Chambers of Commerce, Dr. Mahesh Gupta. So welcome to our program.
Namaskar.
ये PhD Chambers of Commerce का mandate क्या है?
It's one of the oldest chamber of commerce. 111 साल पूरे हो गए इस चैम्बर को और चैम्बर बेसिकली नॉर्थ पार्ट से शुरू हुआ था बट अब हम करीब 20 स्टेट्स के अंदर काम करते हैं.
Wonderful.
It's a coordination between the government and the industry and the trade and bureaucracy and basically we are trying to fulfill whatever is required between these three centers.
Right. So what is the USP of the PhD Chambers of Commerce vis-a-vis the other organizational bodies that represent industry?
Well, the USP, what I can say is we have prominently three chambers of commerce at this moment, as you know, and our chamber of commerce is representing the MSME industry in a large way.
Right. So when we look at challenges, Dr. Gupta, within the Indian industrial database and the whole area, medium and small scale industries have their own separate set of challenges which are unique to them. Would you like to share some of them with us?
Yes, sure. There are two types of challenges I like to highlight. The first challenge is most of the MSME industries are not registered MSME industries. When people talk of MSME industries, somebody is going to say there are 1 crore industries. Somebody is going to say there are 6 crore industries. MSME industries have a system of registration, but all industries doesn't come into the registered shape.
Okay.
So every industry has a different type of issues. I'll take it for example, let's say vendor is sitting on the street. What do you call him? He's making food and supplying to people who are there. What type of industry would you put him? He is smaller than smallest industries,
like
but
a cottage,
still
but not
like
even a cottage
not even a cottage industry.
Right.
Let's take a cottage industry. The people there, many ladies will take the clothes from a exporter and stitch them at home and supply them back.
Right.
They are also industry,
Right.
but they are not registered industries. So one challenge for the industries is how many industries you are taking forward to them. But I think if you are going to ask me a bigger challenge in the registered category of the people, the biggest issue is the finance. These industries required finance, but the larger dues from the banks, portion of their share goes to the big industries
Right.
than to the small industries.
Right. And I think also how we see long-term sustainability, because for MSMEs to reap economies of scale, they don't have the scale which big industries can also reach out to. And secondly, they work with the labor sector primarily, and they need, because nowadays it's a question of cost cutting. So everybody is trying to cut costs, and large industries which are actually being supplied by a lot of medium and small industries for their products, putting a lot of pressure downwards in terms of prices, and everywhere prices are going up. Labor laws are dictating that minimum wages is up. So the MSMEs are squeezed in the middle. How does one lobby with the various stakeholders for this?
What you're saying is absolutely right. So they are sandwiched between the government policies and their own challenges. But you see, the world over, the larger production comes from the MSME industries. You go to Germany. In the German, the main emphasis, although the automobiles are manufactured by large industries, but they depend on suppliers which are small industries. So unless the small industry is going to grow, the big industry is not going to grow.
Right.
Because they are the people who feed to the big industries. So we need to nurture small industries. The biggest USP of a MSME industries to my mind is entrepreneurship and innovations, and the lowest operating cost, administrative cost. These three advantages need to be taken care of if we want our manufacturing sector to grow in this country.
Right.
And the government needs to nurture these MSME industries because they are the backbone of industrial sector in the country.
Absolutely, and a huge provider of employment to people.
Absolutely. See, you can say big industries will put robots and put minimum number of people
True.
on the job. If you number of employment per 100 crores, if you will calculate, or number of employees per 1 crore of investment, you will calculate, the MSME industries would far outscore the big industries. So MSME industry has to come up if you want to feed employment to the industrial sector.
And here we are looking at becoming more labor intensive because we want to provide employment.
Absolutely.
But quality requirements want you to become more machine intensive, capital intensive. And how do the MSMEs try and manage both their costs, providing labor, maintaining quality, because quality maintenance is very, very critical.
I think that's a challenge, but the bigger challenge to my mind is not the installation of machinery. The bigger challenge is skilling the labor which is employed in the MSME industries.
Okay.
So they require regular training. They require that the quality of the product which needs to be produced can come only by training them. And unfortunately, there are very few institutions who carry out the training. It's more of a master in a factory who will give like Guru Shiksh Parampara is there.
Right.
And he employs somebody and then he learns from his boss. And his boss is going to say, okay, he can do any job right now.
Right.
Rather than a formal training. I think ITIs have an important role to play. Skilling sectors have an important role to play. I must appreciate this government who has come out with the concept of skilling India. So at least the skilling centers would provide training to these people who would work in MSME industries and will make a better quality product. Not only quality product, productivity has to go up, because if MSME has to compete in this world, unless they improve on productivity, they will not be able to compete in this world.
And Dr. Gupta, your point is so valid, because our formal institutions of training, whether they are giving you a bachelor's or whether they are giving you a master's or even skill development, and the industry requirements, there's invariably a gap. Do you think our educational institutions are not really leveraging with the industry to find out what really is relevant and make the courses more employment oriented?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of gap. The academic institutions are in their own areas of operation, whereas the industry requires different type of people.
True.
I can give you my examples and my fellow people examples. They always complain that if we take a fresher from a college and we put him on a job, it takes at least 2 years before he can be productive to the company. So 2 years are spent only on training him further to know what is required in the industry sector. So the teaching is more academic rather than practical.
Right.
I understand they require academics, they should know basic sciences, but simultaneously somewhere a balance has to be made so that engineer coming out from the college is prepared to work in industry.
Is ready to work in industry.
So that requires some improvements.
Right. And I think if 2 years is the time required for an organization to invest in an employee, and today with people wanting to change jobs so fast, every 1 to 2 years people change jobs, they move. So retention is going to be an issue. By the time you finish training somebody, the person is ready to move on to another industry.
I think that's the biggest problem is why do they move? We have to look into this aspect. Because they move because they are not satisfied with what they are doing it, or they want to move very fast in their life. You look at the Japanese example. If you go to Japan, if somebody joins an organization, I don't think he's going to leave in his lifetime. At best, he will do only one change in job in his lifetime. So that concept and confidence in working in an organization has to come in amongst the engineers and the employees who join in an organization.
Right.
Unless we will get into that, I think they are not going to get benefited from the company, nor company will get benefited from their employees.
So do you think that a lot of MSMEs need to input more into how we retain people and keep people?
Well, today problem is MSME industry is fighting for their survival, and they have continuously been fighting for their survival.
So true.
It's question of bread and butter for them, and it's not question of what is futuristic. And their main emphasis is that rules and regulations are so many, and there are at least 20 organizations which can punish you and imprison you for small act of neglect. Now, these things need to get out from these MSME industries, and MSME industry would be better to let them work of their own. I think they can do a better job rather than getting controlled from so many bureaucratic setups. So we need to relook at the many things which are required to be changed. This government came up with a very good idea where our Honorable Prime Minister said, let's look at laws which needs to be abandoned.
Yes.
Let's look at so many issues which need not be there in the industrial sector. We need to make these MSME industries totally free and let them work in an environment of freedom, I think they can take care of themselves. And we must do systems so that they don't have to worry about bread and butter alone. Then they can think futuristic. That's where the best effort will come out from MSME.
I think it's so important and very beautifully put. But I think it's with lobbies like yours who have the power of a collective behind them to constantly niggle and push and say, what are we doing about it? Because individually, a small scale industry or a medium one really
they have no voice.
They have no voice.
So we are trying to put their voice into the forefront. I've been trying to say that it's a time to decriminalize businesses. What I mean to say by decriminalize businesses is take out many laws which can put you under imprisonment, so that a small scale entrepreneur who is busy in so many items doesn't have a law department, does not have a legal department, doesn't have to worry about all these aspects.
Right.
Then more and more people will like to come and venture into businesses.
So we're going to go in for a short break. When we come back, we will want to learn from you. You spoke about encouraging entrepreneurship. You're a first generation entrepreneur. For many people who are today entrepreneurs, I think it could also be a family business where you come in and you get your education and you come in and start heading the family business. You started from scratch. You're an amazingly successful entrepreneur. We would like to understand from you, what is it that makes a person who has so many other secure options take the jump, become an entrepreneur, and then become successful? But right now we're going for a short break. Stay with us.
नहीं, पानी तो पिला दो। 6 महीने तो होने दे। दूध पिए दादी, दादा पानी दे दो।
अभी कुछ नहीं।
उसमें क्यों नहीं?
क्योंकि 6 महीने से पहले कुछ और खिलाया पिलाया तो हो जाएगा ध्वस्त।
6 महीने तक सिर्फ मम्मी का ही दूध, समझी?
अरे वाह। Welcome back. We are still in conversation with the President of the PhD Chambers of Commerce, Dr. Mahesh Gupta. Dr. Gupta, first generation entrepreneur, you finished your engineering from IIT Kanpur. You then had a great job in the petroleum industry. You were doing well and you decided to become an entrepreneur. Why?
I think I had enough fire that I must do something which is unique. And I had certain ideas how we can save oil, and I was finding it difficult in an atmosphere in which I was working. It's a big public sector undertaking, and so I thought, let me venture out and see what I can contribute to the society. I think that passion in me forced me to come out of the job and start my own business.
Normally entrepreneurs start a business, have the vision and have the fire, but seldom manage to run it successfully because the retaining requires a different skill. You seem to have married both the skills of the fire to start and the patience to run it. How did you do this?
Well, I think you have to have that patience in you. You have to believe in what you are doing. First is you should have a dream what you want to do, and second thing is you must believe in what you are doing it. If that belief is lacking, so you are likely to get off the track sometimes. And I had to struggle. I can tell you, I struggled quite a bit in the initial phases of my life as a business. But then I did not deviate because I knew what I am doing is right, and the righteous path will pay off at some time or the other. I did not come into business because I thought I will make a lot of money. If you come to make money, maybe you will get sidetracked. I came in because I wanted to serve the nation. I wanted to conserve the oils to begin with. The water happened in 98, that I went into water because of the other reasons, and water has come out as a bigger business than my oil conservation. But I am happy to tell you that even after a gap of 32 years, I am still into oil conservation business. That's my main passion which I came out, and I help people to save oil in the Indian industry in a big way. So to sum up, I would say that that passion for the cause has to be far superior and greater, and if you keep focusing on that passion, I think you will succeed.
So passion, Dr. Gupta, is a word that all of us believe we have. We have a passion for this, passion for food, passion for making a difference. But you know, थोड़ी सी adversity आती है और passion किसी खिड़की के बाहर चली जाती है. True passion, true determination, true grit in the face of adversity. How does one manage that?
Well, I think this all is inner strength. There is no formula which can be given to anybody. Everybody can react differently in different circumstances. But again, as I said, if your cause for what? If you work for yourself and you want the benefit to come to you, maybe your passion is little lower. But I would say if you want to hire, if you want to work for others, then your passion becomes higher, because then you always look at a mother. Mother is never looking at herself all the time, but is looking at the children. So her sacrifices are far superior compared to if somebody is going to look for himself. So similarly, if you are working as an entrepreneur and you want that benefit of your entrepreneurship to go to large number of people, I think that strength will come in you, that so many people are waiting for you. They want a solution for you. So you need to give the solution. Even if you have to suffer, it's okay for you. I think that brings you more strength.
Right. So when one is an entrepreneur, one would require funding, one requires to go to banks, one requires to make people believe in your passion and your vision. And very often you have people in the banking sector where wherever you go for money or for somebody to say, give me a chance, people look at you with suspicion always, you know. How does one challenge that?
Well, I think you have to make your homework very well. You have to come out with, see, our problem with this, many people are not able to represent themselves properly. If you have certain vision, make a proper representation of the people. And I think government departments are helping people, the banks are ready to help you out, but they are only worried on one aspect. If they are going to fund you, will that money come back to them or
Right.
not?
How safe an investment?
How safe an investment is that? They are not, they are in between like sahukars and the real bankers. I'll put it like this. For a big organization, they have so many departments, they have better way of presentation, they can always go back and make a right presentation.
Right.
Whereas a young entrepreneur, he doesn't know anything about how to present to the bank. So I think he must learn a little bit of a skill. He must go to his somebody friend who has always done this job. Because banker is not going to teach him how to present it. But if his project is good and he can earn money and he can repay to the bank, I think bank will come forward and lend money to him.
Right. So if there are some people in the audience who are either parents of or are young people or are older people wanting to become entrepreneurs, because there's no age for an entrepreneur. They have an idea, they have a dream, they have a vision. What do you think are 4 or 5 things that they should be pre-prepared with before taking their vision out to translate it into action and reality?
Yeah, I'll only to sum up, I'll say, to begin with, I would say that times are changing now. A lot of business opportunities are going to come in this country. This country is of 1.3 billion people and the consumption is going to be a big story in this country. So we require a lot of entrepreneurs to come in, and they are the right time to come in and work in this country. Now, what are the things which is required once you want to become an entrepreneur? Please speak to somebody and check whether the product or the service which you want to give is really required by consumers. Because he must check that there is a market for the service or the product which he wants to do. If the market is good, I am sure he will succeed. Then if he is offering a new innovation or a new service, then he must come and check and do a little bit of market survey and see whether that's going to be really required and is going to be successful. And then third thing, he must see that he is doing a genuine work, not running after money alone, but running after a cause. If I would say he is running after money, misery can follow him. But if he is running after a cause, then obviously money will follow him. So if he does even these 3 good steps, I'm sure he'll succeed.
So at a personal level, who have been your role models or inspirations?
Well, I think my role model as far as after I have got success, I would say is His Holiness Shri Shri Ravi Shankar. His teachings have influenced me quite a bit after doing Art of Living program. I have been involved in this for more than 20 years. And his teachings have given me inspiration and have tried to make me look into business and the whole world in a bigger space than I used to look at earlier.
Right. So you said after you became successful, what is success for you?
Well, I don't think I can define success, but you started with certain objective of providing a facility or service or a product to the people, and if you have successfully provided, and I always measure success in terms of the feedback I get from my consumers. And if my consumers are liking my water purifier and I keep getting good remarks and they are happy about it, so if I am able to give them a clean drinking water, I feel I am successful.
Right now we're going for a short break. Stay with us.
मैं ये नहीं पूछूंगा कि आप शौच के लिए कहाँ गए। मैं ये भी नहीं पूछूंगा कि अगर आप खुले में शौच के लिए गए तो क्या आपने अपने बच्चे की जान को खतरे में डाला? क्या आपके गांव की बच्चियों को खुले में शौच करते हुए किसी ने बुरी नजर से देखा? आप खुद समझदार हैं, सक्षम हैं। आप ये तो जानते ही होंगे कि हमारे देश में 70,000 से ज्यादा गांव के लोगों ने खुले में शौच की प्रथा को खत्म कर दिया है। गांव के बच्चे, महिला, पुरुष सब इस लक्ष्य में जुटे। निगरानी समितियां बनी जिन्होंने खुले में शौच कर रहे लोगों को समझाया, शौचालय बनाया, उनका इस्तेमाल करना सिखाया। क्या आपका गांव भी बनेगा खुले में शौच से मुक्त? आइए स्वच्छ भारत अभियान से जुड़िए। अब नहीं तो कब?
Welcome back. We are still in conversation with the President of the PHD Chambers of Commerce, Dr. Mahesh Gupta. How important, sir, is creativity and innovation for an entrepreneur?
I think most important, because if you want to compete in this world, you want to offer something to consumers which they already are enjoying. Unless you innovate, either in product or in service or in marketing or in whatever steps you do, I don't think you can succeed. And I always say you must believe in one thing, that things are changing and things will change. Whether you are going to be a person who is going to make this change or not. If you are going to be a person who is going to make big change, that means you will only innovate. And innovation is the key to success, to my mind.
India seems to be attracting a lot of service industry internationally also. And we also say, and we always believe that manufacturing is the backbone for economic independence. Now the focus is on interdependence. Do you think we are managing to straddle both properly?
I think this government has come out with a good policy wherein they have said that 25% of GDP of the country has to come out from manufacturing, which is presently lagging at 16%.
Okay.
So I'm sure manufacturing is getting a boost in this country with the present government, and that's why the Make in India program has been initiated. And a lot of startups are coming into manufacturing sector. I understand what you're saying in the servicing sector. It's easy to start a new business in servicing sector. You can come and say, I'm a technology company and I will provide this solution, and 4 or 5 people can get together and provide a solution. And if it becomes successful, can roll it out into a bigger ball.
True.
So that's much easier to done. Whereas in a manufacturing sector, it's infrastructure development is required. You need to invest money, and the result comes out after a certain period of time. But I think this country will get into manufacturing in a big way, and this is bound to happen. Whether we manufacture for other countries or other world is not known to me, but certainly Indian people will manufacture at least for India. That I am very confident, and we are starting to see this happening in industry.
Right. Do you think also, sir, that we have pockets of development of infrastructure and we need to spread out a little more? Because I think wherever there is industry, you can create a separate world around it of prosperity.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you, and I think this has started happening. We are finding now states are competing against each other now. Every state is having a program to drive investment into that state, and every state is putting out facilities and inviting people to do manufacturing, and this process is going to get on. Because as per this federal system, the states are getting activated now. We find even, let's say, for UP, which was such a backward state, so much investment is coming because the governments are attracting investment by themselves rather than central government putting the plant, because no PSU plants are coming now. The earlier industrial development came in because of the central government putting plants. Now it's all private sectors. So every state is giving these facilities, and I'm sure it will get decentralized. Development is getting to each state. It's going to happen.
Right. Do you think also, sir, internationally, India and the look that India is presenting in terms of an ease to do business, is that changing?
No, absolutely. I think the government has put many processes online. You can see your applications online, and a lot of benefits are being given to people who want to come and put up the manufacturing facilities. Systems look good, and I think we have notched down our status much better than what we used to be earlier, and this development is happening.
Right. What do you think are a couple of strengths that the Indian industry has to offer to the rest of the world or even Asia as a market, and what are 2-3 areas that we really need to be careful about?
Well, I think that what Indian industry needs to offer is that they have a large amount of labor which is less costly. I will not say cheap, but I will say less costly, and they are the labor which is very well educated.
Right.
We have the largest number of engineers in this world compared to any other country. So all this educated manpower is available here, and more important than Indian industry offers the consumption story.
We are a market.
We are a market.
Yeah,
so why should
absolutely.
not anybody come into India and manufacture? If you don't come and manufacture here locally, you will not know what product is required by the consumer. So it's better to come here, manufacture in this country, and then supply to the various people. And once a big industry comes up, then the small industries around that mushrooms, and they make component supply to this industry. So this is one area that we are a demand-oriented industries. A, B, we are a large manpower which is easily available. So these are the benefits which a person will get it. And the only precaution which we need to take is our labor laws are still not the best in the world, which we need to make it up, and the government needs to look at it, that the labor laws are made industrial friendly. I will give you a simple reason for this.
Sir.
In the olden times, you put up an industry and it can last for 30 years or 40 years or 50 years. But today, if you put up an industry, you are not sure whether that industry is going to last after 5 years or 10 years.
True.
Because technology is changing fast. The moment a technology changes, the product which you manufacture today may be obsolete by 5 years or 10 years. Now, what are you going to do with such a large amount of labor which you have already put up in the plant?
Right.
There must be some exit policies. That exit policies needs to be done by the government, so that people are not afraid to employ more labor and put up bigger industries. That's the only precaution which you need to look at.
And actually experience has always shown that however stringent you make a rule, I think effort and intent is like water. It somewhere tries to circumvent it, find another way out, which may in the long run not be in the interest of the labor,
Right.
you know. And I think that's very important to remember.
Yeah, I think our labor is also not very happy with the labor laws, the way I look at it.
Right.
So people have found out, like you said, it moves like a water. People don't employ the labor which is on company roles. They employ a labor which is contractual labor.
True.
Now in a company, half is the employed labor, half is a contractual labor, is not a good solution. They fight amongst each other. So why do we go for contractual labor? Because our laws are like this. They limit that if you have more than 100 people, then if you want to exit any time, it is not possible. Now this simple law needs to be amended. And the moment you do, it's beneficial for everybody.
Right. Before we say thank you very much, sir, just wanting to understand from you, how do you maintain a work-life balance?
Well, I think very easy. It should be natural, and I think you should live in present moment. And what's in front of you, you should look at that rather than keep having anxiety of what's going to happen in future.
Live in the now.
Live in now.
True.
This is the simple answer for me.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for also, I think not only the inputs you gave us, for also finally at the conclusion of the program, bringing us into the now. It was a pleasure speaking with you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much.
Namaskar.
Thank you.